Behind me we've got this oak tree that's in decline, so we're going to remove it. We have a dumper for 2 days to help us shift the timber, and we can also use the dumper to help us pull things around. So my main goal for today will be to get the tree down to a height that it will fit in the hole and get it all set up so that we can fell it. It's going to be pretty tricky getting it all to the ground. One of the stems is leaning back the way we don't want it to go. That one's pretty dead and really wobbly. My biggest concern is that because there's nowhere really to drop behind the tree, but I'm not sure my winch will be able to pull the whole thing over because there's so much weight going over the back.
To the left, facing the tree, there's a shed, and surrounding it there's loads of other vegetation. The central stem that should make the best anchor is about 20 inches and completely dead and extremely wobbly, so that's not climbable really. There's also a 20-inch bough that swoops out over the neighbours, and that's also completely dead. We can't drop it because the neighbour has a summer house right below it, so that's got to be rigged off. The only other option is a cherry picker, but at the moment the ground's too soft and the weather's too unpredictable. What we do need is a better plan and more people. We can't fell it forward into that gap because it's too tall and it'll hit the other oak. Partly because of the weather, progress on the oak was painfully slow, and just as soon as I got some momentum up, I had a plan to how I would get the first dead stem down, and the wind started blowing pretty hard, so 32 mile/hour gusts, so we ended up having to call it, which also involved cancelling the dumper.
I think these gusts are a bit much, aren't they, really?
It's kind of become my nemesis tree, but we'll be back there on that site in the new year to finish it off. This time I've dedicated a full week to it because there'll be so much timber to shift. Sometimes the sensible decision really does feel like defeat. Yeah, it's boring thinking sensibly, but it's much safer, and in the long run I'll end up making more money. Thankfully there was a small, straightforward dismantle job that was just round the corner, so we went over and did that instead. I had intended at the time to go back to the oak the following day, so I'd left a lot of my ropes up in the tree. As a result, we turned up to this dismantle without any friction devices. What I did have was my harness, spikes and lanyard, and a spare rope that I carry around with me in the truck. I used the spare rope as a choker to catch me if I slipped. I tied a running bowline around the trunk of the tree, and a metre down I tied a double figure of 8 that I connected to my harness. When it came time for me to descend, I changed a double figure of 8 into a munter hitch and used that to abseil down the rope, which is a knot I've not tied since college.
When things don't quite go to plan, there's nothing that cheers me up more than the truckload of new logs. It's going to stay there for a while. Until it's ready.
For weeks where I don't make a lot of money, being able to sell logs is an absolute lifesaver. For now, all the wood I have is hand split and it's all taken off jobs that I've done. It's a mixture of conifer and hardwood. I generally keep pine, spruce, birch, oak, sycamore and ash, and they're my favourites. I won't bother with willow or poplar as they don't have any heat in them, and I also don't often take beech or eucalyptus because they're really hard to split. A main job this winter is upgrading my log storage, because this year the wet's got into them, and what was a dry pile of logs that were ready is now unsellable until next year. Storage and being stocked ahead of time is the most important thing when it comes to burning, and also knowing what species you got will really help you in lighting a fire.